Okay, guys, because I'm sick of this shit, and because of something somebody had said to me, I'm just gonna come out and tell you guys. Do you guys want to know why my career at Ford Motor Company ended after 10 years? Now, if you didn't work with me, you won't understand, but it's all good. I was a team leader. I was a tag relief. I cared about my job. I was very good at it. I built F-150s and Raptors since I was 19 years old. I worked my ass off for the positions I had. And then we had this piece of shit put on my team. And instead of doing things like everybody else in the plant does, like assaulting them, like, do you know how many assaults I would watch? Watching assaults happen at the plant was a regular thing. You were just used to watching assaults happen. Like, it's just, and that's fine. That's 2 weeks off. That's cool. But God forbid you're 30 seconds tardy, and God forbid your uncle dies and you need to go to a funeral and you need help getting a day off work. God forbid, that'll get you terminated. But you can beat the shit out of each other all day. The union will protect you for that. But a comment was made to me, and I was like, no, because more goes into this than just what they're saying. And this is what they do. This is what the union does, and this is what labor does, so that they can cover their ass so they don't look incompetent and stupid. You guys know how that woman had to come and have a meeting with everybody about the company having knowledge of something going on, the union having knowledge of something going on, and doing nothing about it? That's because of Abby. That's because of me. And it was very convenient that all of a sudden, I was suspended the day before that woman came to speak to everybody. So you didn't want me there. But I can't prove that. But it's very strange how that timing happened. What's even stranger, and I have emails, like they act like I'm stupid or something. Like, I have emails back and forth of saying, I need to speak to this woman one-on-one. And when I came back from my suspension, where is this woman's office? I need to speak to her one-on-one. Nobody would allow me to talk to her. And every time they pretended like I could go talk to her, she just so happened to be gone or not there or whatever. So it's like, you didn't want me to tell her, because this entire thing that she said happened to me. This is why. Because I'm the one who brought this up. I said, I'm being retaliated against. And I was. And that's why I was fired. I wasn't fired for fucking tardies. I wasn't fired for not coming to work. I was fired because the union was pissed at me. I was fired because labor was pissed at me. Who starts off a conversation? Like, labor, like, the union is supposed to protect us from labor, right? Who starts off a conversation talking about how they went out drinking together and how they're buds? To me, that says you're trying to intimidate me and say, look, we're buddies and we're up against you. And I'm reporting sexual harassment, which they told me wasn't sexual harassment, and then all of a sudden they hung these banners up, and I was like, just because you hung up fucking banners doesn't mean your definition of harassment is true. There are laws in place for this. You have rights at your workplace, like being safe. And I told you that my safety was in jeopardy, and so did other people on my team, and you did nothing about it. And whenever the witnesses tried to come and tell you that they saw it, you told them that you were going to get them in trouble, or you got really aggressive and scared them. That's what happened. I mean, this is exactly how it would go every single time after the investigation, and then we'll get into that. After the investigation, they would go, Abigail McClanahan, and then they'd go, oh yeah, you come over here, and they would put me in a separate room from everybody else, and they would have people from the union and people from the labor department all come in and berate me about what a piece of shit I was, and how I needed to be terminated, and how I should be reprimanded, and how I deserve to be suspended, no matter what it was. So I was coming in doing the right thing, saying like, hey, I called off yesterday. That was all fine. That was covered. That was all good. But here's the kicker. After the shit with the investigation happened, I specifically signed paperwork saying I do not want my union rep speaking for me in any way, shape, or form because he is misrepresenting me, and I don't want him speaking for me. I started my period. So I'm in this conference room, and I'm like, shoot. But the bathroom's like 10 feet away. So I'm like, you're already talking to these people. So I walk up, I was like, excuse me, pardon me, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. I started my period. I was like, I'm going to leave my stuff. I'll be right back. She was like, that's fine. I had already told her not to speak to my union rep. I had already said, don't do that. So I go to the bathroom, and maybe gone 2 minutes. I come back. What's going on? They're literally, I kid you not, they are literally whispering. My union rep and the woman I just told not to talk to my union rep are whispering in the corner away from everybody. And I'm like, are you serious right now? And then they point at me, and I'm like, are you serious right now? So then I go and I'm like, fine. So I'm listening. The door's wide open. I can hear what they're saying to these other people. So it's 3 women and one guy that was on my line. I'm not going to drop any names, so I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. We're going to get, you have 22 tardies? It's fine. We'll cover it. Go to your job. You have 31 tardies. It's fine. We'll cover it. Go to your job. You have whatever. It's fine. You have whatever. It's fine. Now let's go get Abby. So I was like, is there an issue with me calling off yesterday? I was like, I have the personal time to cover it. And they were like, oh, no, that's fine. And they were like, but you have 20 tardies. I was like, 20 tardies? I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, oh, from months ago. And I was like, oh, so you didn't do your job. So you didn't do your job. So protocol means you're supposed to call me down on the 5th so that I can sign a piece of paper saying that I know, and you didn't. Also, because of the situation with Vern, I was not allowed to do what I was already doing. So I didn't have a job I started out on. So bosses didn't know where I was. This doesn't sound like an Abby problem. They didn't know where I was. I was opening stock or doing whatever or grabbing this or helping somebody on a job, but I wasn't on a single job. So they kept marking me tardy. Was I on time every single day? No. And I told them that. I was like, was I tardy? Yeah. And then I told them after the Vern situation, it was hard enough for me to even want to get out of bed and come to this place after working my ass off for almost 10 years to have positions that I had taken away from me because of this scumbag not knowing how to act. On top of that, I came in twice on my nights off trying to talk to labor about some of those tardies because my car wasn't in the shop and I was playing musical cars with my family. Did I have 20 tardies where I came walking in 20 minutes late 20 days in a row? No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I was told by management even that they were sorry and that they would fix it. Labor never fixed it. This is what I mean about retaliation. All of a sudden, after this situation goes down and I have this investigation happen and you guys look stupid, now all of a sudden, labor isn't fixing my attendance and stuff. The union, Shamar stopped answering my calls years ago, before that. He's the one who told me, please don't file any complaints on this man. Please don't file any complaints on this man. Please don't do that. He deterred me from saying anything officially on paperwork. And I was like, no, it's going too far. He's following me home. He's doing weird shit. I'm scared. Every single person named in that investigation, and I told the union this, I told Shamar this, every single person had their home or their car vandalized or damaged in some way. And this dude was following me home. And it was really bad, and it was really scary. But that was the whole investigation that they said was my fault and I was the problem. But after that was when labor, every time they heard my name, came hard for me, no matter what it was. And the union dropped me like a bad habit. Nobody did nothing for me. Quote from Nick Catalis, I have never heard anything but that you are an impeccable worker. Okay, well then why aren't you helping this impeccable worker? What is going on? I messaged, called everybody that I could, and nobody would help me when I told them I'm being retaliated against by my union rep and by my labor department. I think that they are telling management things, and I'm being looked at a certain kind of way. Which ended up being true, because I had 3 different bosses come up and apologize to me and tell me we were told by your union what a behavior problem you are and how we have to look out for you. Not only that, one of them, right before I got fired, said to me, you know, it's really weird because any other time anybody else's name gets brought up for a reprimand, they defend it till the cows come home. I'm telling them I need her here. I need Abby here. She's one of my best workers, and they don't say a word. If that's not misrepresentation, I don't know what is. But all of these things started happening after the investigation stuff. Do you know how many texts I got from that meeting of people going, oh my God, they did not want you here? Because it was very strange that she came and did that the day after I got suspended. So technically, if I would have showed up, because I thought about it, and I would have went on Ford property, they could have pulled the, well, you're suspended and you're not even supposed to be here, you're trespassing. And that's how, so I was like, what do I do? Because I know they'll do that. But I'm the reason that she was there, because they said some crazy shit and that they had to involve the police and stuff, so I went and got a lawyer. And I'm not dumb. I know I have rights at work. But they were pissed at that, and they knew I was right. When the company and your union and your labor department or HR or whoever has complete knowledge of your safety being in jeopardy at work and they don't do shit about it, that's on them if something happens. That's on them. But I'm magically suspended right before somebody comes to talk all about that? Weird, right? It gets weirder. The day I came back from my suspension, also, that was the day I came back was the day my uncle went into the hospital. My uncle didn't get sick and die. My uncle abruptly died. Not only that, Shamar knows that my uncle was like my dad. So when everybody's going, oh, bereavement this, bereavement that, we don't get bereavement like that for an uncle or an aunt. And that was like my dad. And all I asked my union for was 2 fucking days. I said, can I have 2 fucking days to bury my uncle, who's like my dad, without being dragged down to labor and treated like shit and having my job threatened? Nobody would help me. And nobody would help me. Nobody would help me. I called everybody. I texted everybody. Nobody would help me. Nobody would help me. Monty told me that I was bothering him at an event with his wife, and I'm like, I'm grieving, more worried and panicked outside of a funeral home for essentially my father, texting you assholes, and none of you will even help me, and nobody will get back to me. How do you think I feel? How do you think I feel? You took my job away. You took my pay away. You said that I was a fucking liar. You said that I was a fucking whore that slept around for my job. And then you fucking, and then you don't even, like, what the fuck, man? Like, if I don't laugh, it's like, it's horrifying. But I'm going to read you guys the statement that I wrote after the second time labor talked to me. So I filed all of these complaints on Vern after I found out that he was giving my address and my phone number out to people to hurt me. And yeah, so I found that out. So I went into work the next day and filed all of these complaints. It took them over 3 weeks to speak to me. But if you're tardy, we'll drag you down in seconds. The second you hit the floor, you're getting dragged down. You report sexual harassment and stalking and crimes, they take 3 weeks to even acknowledge your existence. And we'll get into all that after. But this is what I wrote after one of the meetings. Do you want to know what it was like? I'll tell you guys. It's just like when in Game of Thrones when Tyrion's on trial. It was just straight up setup and bullshit is what it was. So, is what it is. But I wrote this. I wrote this in February of 2021. Okay? Because I didn't trust them. So I was like, I can't speak freely anymore, so I should write down things. I said, I was deterred from filing official complaints by my union rep, Shamar Clemens. He said he would talk to him and he would quote-unquote handle it. I trusted him, but it only got worse. When I went outside of work, I filed several complaints with the labor department. This was on October 9th, 2020. No one spoke to me until October 30th, 2020. When Wanda and Shamar spoke to me, I was made to feel like nothing I filed made sense, even though I had been telling Shamar about it for years at this point and have text messages all the way back to 2017 reporting issues with this coworker. I continued to have to work directly with Vern every night, even though I asked for us to be separated and or suspend us both until it was figured out. When I was finally spoken to in January of 2021 was when it was extremely aggressive. I was told I was the problem, and I know that labor and the union will deny this. By this time, I had already had teammates and others in trim shop come up to me talking about the investigation. I never talked to anybody about it. I was told by them that they were asked how long I had been sleeping with others, including them, and or having affairs with them, and who I possibly could be. They all said that they weren't made to sign anything. So again, I know that labor and the union will deny this. I was also told that my age, race, and gender were brought up as a negative is by Wanda and labor and by my union rep Shamar. That when my teammate did not laugh and joke with them when they were making fun of it and mocking my situation was when the questioning became, quote, aggressive. These things were not said to me by people named in the investigation. They did not repeat anything to me. I did not talk to anybody about who was named in the investigation about the investigation like you're supposed to. The only thing that they had said to me was how they had to sign a whole bunch of paperwork that they wouldn't discuss it. Again, the others who weren't named did not sign any investigation forms and were all spoken to off the record. The union and labor will deny talking to them. I did not know that for months, from October to January, almost February, that these rumors of me sleeping around had been going on. I was humiliated and embarrassed. I was a tag relief, a backup team leader. I was in a position of respect that I worked for. And these things were all being said about me by my labor department and my union. Vern was openly talking about the investigation the entire time on the line. He will deny this and they'll just accept it. Now, when it comes to the meeting in January, I was not represented well, and I told them I did not want to be represented by Shamar. Shamar denied having prior knowledge, even though I have conversations going back years. He denied knowing about other coworkers leaving B Crew because of Vern. He denied having knowledge of someone quitting because of Vern, when he was the one who told me, my team leader at the time, and my tag relief at the time, that he quit because of Vern and him bullying him. But there was no paper trail, so he couldn't do anything about it. Well, look what happened to me. He told me that I was lying when I said that he had excelled somebody's bump to C Crew because they had an issue with Vern. After I realized that he wasn't going to tell the truth, Wanda said, well, we wanted to terminate you, and looked over at my union. I asked if I could just sign paperwork and leave, because I had already lost all the positions I worked for, because I couldn't handle directly working with Vern. The investigation was quote-unquote ended, and I was trying to leave the room. When I finally got out of the room, Wanda said, Miss McClenaghan, pronouncing my name wrong after meeting with me several times and saying it correctly, extremely disrespectfully putting me down and degrading me. She said, I suggest you come back and I'll give you advice. At this time, I had already made it out of the conference room and was almost into the room you wait in labor, where there were other people. And I audibly say loud so they can hear me 3 times in a row, I am not comfortable. I'm afraid of you guys. I'm afraid of my union. I'm not represented, and I'm scared for my job. I don't want to come back in that room. She said again, I highly advise you in an aggressive way, like I'm going to screw you over if you don't, to come back. Then Shamar said to come back. I repeatedly said, no, I'm uncomfortable. Shamar then told me to come back, so I went back into the conference room in tears. I told them how much I loved my job, how hard I worked for everything, and that I had not slept around for it. That I have never hated coming to work until the past few years. Between running my body into the ground, Vern, and not being helped by my union for basic things that I needed. Labor treating me like a dog when I'm not a schemer like some of the other people there. And I work hard. While others play the system, I don't. So now I find out that I've been painted as an aggressive bully whore by my labor department and my union rep. So why would I want to go back into the room? When I finally went in, they were laughing and scoffing at me. And I told them, I don't know why you guys want to make working here hell on earth. I just tried to do the right thing. I love my job. And that's when Wanda looked at my union rep and said, we wished we could terminate you. And then said, working here is voluntary. The door's right there. And laughed in my face while I was in tears, saying how I just wanted to be able to do my job right. I don't work there, so I can talk about all this now. But I'm allowed to tell people about that no matter what, because I had already signed paperwork and left the room because I just wanted it to end. But it shocked me. It shocked me that somebody said that when I was like, I'm I'm a good worker. I know I'm one of the only people that know all these jobs. I'm one of the only people that can do these things. And what? I've been here 10 years. What? But of course, that's off the record. So they'll all deny saying it. And I'm fully aware. So they will deny saying this. I have every right to this, because like I said, this was after that. So I said, I have every right to talk about that. The investigation was considered over. I have only ever spoke about how badly this situation was handled. I never talked about the investigation in detail with anybody. When you know your union is actively against you and so is your labor department, it's hard to feel like your job is safe. For example, I was told tardies that I never had would be taken care of. They never were. So now I'm called down and threatened with time off while my union does nothing to help me or just doesn't show up at all. This is what I mean about retaliation. You want me to file more complaints? Why would I feel comfortable with that? Look what happened to me. I was marked absent by supervisors and was told it would be fixed, and it never was. And I was put into the attendance program. The damage was already done. Again, no union help, and I'm afraid of labor and of my own union. It's always semantics and being talked down to, in my opinion, from what I've dealt with, and I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job over something stupid. Just to end up in the position I'm in, I feel targeted by the union. I feel targeted by labor. To me, it feels like they want me gone. I mean, they said it audibly, so why wouldn't I feel this way? I was being followed to my car. I was being followed through the plant. I was being followed home. Shamar knew all about this. There were witnesses who saw it. I feel like my safety only mattered because of what I commented. I said the same things. It was mishandled. I dealt with a similar situation. I begged for help from the union. I didn't get it. I was gaslit and made to feel like I was crazy. I was called a liar. Why would I feel comfortable with labor or the union, which we all know is corrupt? I know it isn't everyone. This is a constant problem, though. And I commented that on a Free Press article about how I, in my opinion, believed what she was alleging about Dearborn truck plant because I've witnessed the environment that it's nurtured and how harassment is covered up and how they deter you from filing about it. So I comment on a Facebook post from the Free Press, lickety split, I'm called down. I report this, and it takes you 3 weeks to even acknowledge my existence, and then it takes you almost 4 months to talk to me again, all while I have to work with this man directly every single night. Okay. I know it isn't everyone. This is a constant problem. Blah, blah, blah. Certain people are helped. Certain people get away with fist fights, tardies, and worse. They are always helped. If you aren't in that group, though, you don't get help. We know the union speaks with labor. So certain people are made out to look a certain kind of way, and certain people are painted in a bad light, and so they're targeted. I can't say that happens for sure, but I know that a lot of people feel this way, including myself. When I'm the only person who knows how to run every job on my team for years, have gotten quality awards, and am highly respected, and have never been in labor for being a behavior problem whatsoever, and now, after almost 10 years, every time I'm spoken to by labor, management, or the union, it is as if I'm some huge problem. I worked so hard for nothing. To be looked at like a behavior problem. And to be looked at like I slept around to get where I was. And so yes, I am afraid for my job. I did the right thing, and I worked hard as hell. My safety should have been top priority before I made a comment on a Facebook post. My safety didn't matter until I made a comment on a Facebook post. And that's what makes me upset. When blank was spoken to by Wanda and Shamar off the record, and he told them that I wasn't lying and witnessed things firsthand, they started to get aggressive with him, and days later he was suspended for 30 days for tardies that they couldn't even prove he had. The fact that I feel like I only mattered after I made a comment on a social media post sucks. It breaks my heart. I love my job. I have a great team besides that man. I just think that management, labor, and the union need to take things like harassment and stalking and sexual harassment as a priority instead of tardies that they can't even prove. How strange, right, that I wrote this in 2021. How strange that I wrote in labor, on paper, that I was scared for my job over something stupid like attendance or tardies because the union and labor did not like me and were targeting me and were retaliating against me. I had 3 different bosses tell me, we were told by your union what a behavior problem you are and to, quote, watch out for you. We were told you were a problem. So from the jump, you were telling these bosses who never met me, who were new coming in, what an issue I was and what a problem I was. So they had a, what do you call that? So the company knew and did nothing. The union knew and did nothing. All these people did nothing. And then they said it was my fault. And they said that I was so heinous and so aggressive that they had to involve the police. So yeah, when they said that to me, I called a lawyer. They didn't like that. And that's why they ended up having that woman come, because it's facts. You guys treated me like shit, and then you took my uncle dying as a way to get rid of me. Do you guys want to know why I'm terminated? Tell me how this logic works. Tell me how this fucking logic works. And can I just say that I love Ford? Ford didn't do this. I'll tell you who did this. Shamar, Wanda, Nick Catalis, I asked you for help and you didn't do nothing. Monty, I came to you for help. You did nothing. People in health and safety, I came to you for help. You did nothing. I came to everybody I could and nobody did shit. Labor didn't even sign this shit because they didn't want their fucking name on it. So my investigation was never even fully closed because you couldn't even do your fucking job. You couldn't even do that. So this isn't even official. You didn't even fucking do it right. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about all the complaints I fucking left. And fucking A, man. It's just, I'll tell you how fucked up this is. I'll tell you how fucking crazy this is. I said it. I said it to several people. I said it. I have it recorded I have a video recording of me in the labor department a year and a half ago saying, I'm afraid that something's going to happen and they're going to come at me for tardies or that don't exist or absences that don't exist. And that's exactly what happened. So tell me how this works. How fucking incompetent do you motherfuckers have to be to do this? So I was terminated on June 12th, right? Supposedly. But you didn't send me I was taking a stress medical leave, which I needed, but I just only asked for 2 days. At first I was like, he died on a Wednesday. I was like, can I just have till the end of the week? And I'll come back on Tuesday. And nobody would help me. They were like, you gotta be at work, you're in the program, whatever the fuck. And I was like, I can't. But so anyway, that was on May 26th. So I was like, I'll take a stress medical leave. So I had filed to get the paperwork right. I filed for the FMLA paperwork. I didn't get it until June 17th. And it was stamped June 13th. But they had me terminated on the 12th of June. So how were you sending an employee documents stamped after the date you had them terminated without telling them they were terminated? How? What do you mean? And now I'm sitting here going, what? And then nobody will help me. Nobody's going to help me and nobody's going to fight for me. So I had some very rude things be said to me and I'm like, fuck you. Do you know how hard I fucking worked? But it all stems from the Vern situation. It all stems from them fucking me over and allowing this man to harass women and grope women and do shit to people and say, that guy would come straight up to me and be like, man, you should just let me fuck you and shit like that. And I would just ignore it because Oh my God, I worked in the plant. Not every guy is a terrible scumbag, but it's like, I know the difference between somebody's giving me a compliment today and somebody means me harm. And that guy repeatedly, there's a difference between someone going fuck you one time at work and snapping because they've been dealing with a daily pattern of harassment from somebody. That's different. And I'm not the only one who was getting it from this guy. And then because you fucked up and did a bunch of illegal shit and got scared because you said you made a police report, and then I called the police department and they were like, they never did that, they're lying. I had already gotten a lawyer and they were like, illegal. Do they realize what they're doing here? Like, what the fuck? So then they got pissed because I said that to them. Because I said it to them, and I prefaced everything with one, I don't want this man's life ruined. I just want him moved so I can do my job. And so my team can do their job. That's it. And I was like, that's all I wanted. And then, but no, for some reason, it's different rules for Abby. I don't know why, but it was. We had to have a whole ass fucking fake fucking made up fucking trial. And then we have, that's all I wanted. And then I would always preface it, and I stand by this. It was not Ford Motor Company who did this. It's not Bill Ford. I love Ford. Ford gave me opportunities that I would have never had if I wouldn't have worked there. I loved my job. I cared about the product. I was good at it. It wasn't Ford who did this. It was people in power in the union who turned their back instead of stepping up and doing the right thing because they're a bunch of snakes eating each other. And the labor department who doesn't do their fucking job. And then they go, oh, we're overflooded with work. Are you? Because you don't do jack shit. Because when I came down there before, 4 of you were standing around just shit-talking some girl for being 21 for 5 minutes before you even realized I was down there. I came in twice on my nights off trying to fix my attendance that my union should be doing, but labor, you should have already had it right. And management, you should be getting it right, but you don't. So I came in twice on my nights off to try and have that fixed prior. Nobody would talk to me the second they found out what my name was. Weird, right? Strange, right? Right? Or is it retaliation? Then we have the 2 times I went down, and every time I left a note and took a picture. I have pictures of it. I have pictures of me in labor and pictures of the notes that I left saying, I need to talk to this person about X, Y, and Z. I need to talk about X, Y, and Z. I make a comment on Facebook, you guys jump down my throat. I leave 4 notes saying that I feel unsafe and or I really need to talk to somebody. Nobody's to be found. Then I don't matter now again. I came in on my nights off, and like I said, my mom's 64 and can handle 6 HR departments and is okay. Why can't you guys run one plant? Or are you just lazy pieces of shit who are told to treat us like trash, and it's horrible? I know that some people are playing the game, and it's annoying, and it's terrible. And believe me, the good workers can't stand that shit either. But what's even worse is when you do shit like this. And what's even worse is when you're threatening an entire team, essentially, because they try to tell you the truth. And instead of just moving I don't know what this guy has on them, but that's what happened. They terminated me even though I was still employed. And my team was like, it has you on file as a medical leave. Why are they telling? And I was like, I don't know. They're telling me I'm terminated. The HR just called and said that I'm terminated. Even in the HR department said, I am so sorry. It never goes like this. Because I said that the union's not going to come. I was like, the union's not going to show. Because they don't like me, and they've been holding a grudge and wanting me to they told me, labor and the union told me, we wish we could terminate you, and for a whole year and a half, they made my life a living fucking hell. A living fucking hell. Do you guys want to know why I stopped talking to people on break? Do you guys want to know why I started sitting off all alone all the time and not talking on the line? Because I was too afraid that the union or Vern would target whoever I was friends with, because that had happened already. So yeah, I said this would happen, and I have more than that. I have all we have all the original complaints. Like I said, you are so fucking incompetent, and or you didn't want to get charged with something that Wanda wouldn't even fucking sign that the fucking shit was over with. So you didn't even do your fucking job right. Good job, labor. And then you want to say morale is down, or no? Then they want to say we have an absenteeism problem. No, we have a morale problem because we're treated like shit. And when we report things like this or need basic ass rights at work, I'm not even talking about like I need the union here. I'm talking about basic ass fucking rights at work, like safety. Like I should feel safe to walk to my car. That's a right that you have at work. And I was told, no, you're the problem. Here's one. And I told him that. I go, my mom works HR somewhere. I know how it goes. I could give you 200 complaints, but instead I'm breaking it down and making it easier for you, and giving you ones with witnesses and dates and times so that you can go, okay, I can understand. And then they said they were all over the place and didn't make sense. And I was like, I could just write one for every day, but I made it easier for you. What do you mean? And that's when I realized, oh, you're gaslighting me. And they lost 3 of them. So how convenient. September 25th, 2019, Vern Blank was yelling for over 3 hours about rape and how all women are whores, and I asked him to stop, but he continued. Finally, I said again, if you weren't talking about women all night, maybe you wouldn't be getting in my way as much and causing so much downtime. That's all I said, just like that, because he was purposely getting in my way. I said somebody called the union down right after saying I was fighting with another coworker. There was never a fight. There was never a fight. That never happened. Did you inform anyone? Shamar. Didn't do shit. And I turned, oh yeah, see, yep, here we go. When Blank, my other teammate, was brought to our team from Sea Crew, he told me he was, quote, disturbed by how Vern spoke about me, and it was making him uncomfortable. What was your response as a result to this above statement? Be clear and specific. I got in my car and went home. I finished the shift and got in my car and went, what the fuck am I going to do? Were there any witnesses? Yes, I put his name down. Did you inform anyone? Yes, my team leader. So I never spoke to my team leader or that person about this investigation, ever, after that. The only thing he told me was my car got messed up, and I was like, that's weird, because so did this person's in my head. Other than that, nope. Here's the other one. In general, Vern has said things that make me uncomfortable on a daily basis. I've asked him to stop. It never has. Other coworkers have asked him to stop. It never has. This has been going on for years now, to a point where I can no longer be around this man working, especially when I know he has a violent history with women. I have avoided him, tried ignoring him. It's just gotten so bad to the point it's outside of work, and I'm scared. Did you inform anybody? My team leader, and my union rep. Did you inform anybody else, like in management or the union, about your issue? Shamar. At this point, I put a little asterisk. At this point, knowing his history, I am not comfortable working near this man. Here we go. November 22nd, 2019. When I was doing team leader, Vern referred to me as a bitch he will keep on a leash all night to another teammate. And he was bothered by it, and so was I. I was too busy working to have a response. Is there a witness? Blank, a different person. And at this point, both of these people, I didn't know. They showed up while I was off on my medical leave in ICU. So I didn't know these people at the time, and it doesn't matter. Did you inform anyone? Yes, Shamar, in the union. Mind you, this complaint, like I said, that happened on November 22nd, 2019. And I reported these in 2020. And they lost a bunch of them. November 22nd, 2019, Vern, after the leash comment about me, said all women belong on a leash. What was your response as a result to the above statement? Nothing to him directly. I was busy team leading, and I found out later when a coworker told me. Was there a witness? Gave another witness. Did you tell anybody? Shamar, my union rep. And then that one was about him following me, and then I went down again and wrote a whole other statement that I have on camera about talking to them, and every single one of them said the same thing. Abby, every time I went to tell them what had happened or what I saw, they shut down the conversation, or it got aggressive. And ever since all this shit and me reporting it and them covering it up and saying I was the problem, I was targeted by labor and by my union, and then by management because of labor and because of the union. And they used my uncle's death to get rid of me. That's what they fucking did. And it's fucked up. And I just wanted people to know. And it's horrifying. It's horrifying. Like, not only, like, I work with some really great men. And I don't want them to get lumped into a category with this. But it's like, it was hard enough being a woman in that plant. It was hard enough working the way I did. We know how a lot of women get ahead in there. And men. We know. I'm not going to say things because it's not my stories to tell. But we know. We know if you do certain things with certain people in the union, or if you do certain things with people in management, you're going to be A-okay. I remember someone got a text that someone from another shift was coming to beat them up because they were like sleeping with their boyfriend or something like that. The union personally let her leave. I did tag relief, which means I got to leave 40 minutes early because I do 8 jobs, and that's like the perk to doing tag and knowing all the jobs. I'm literally walking out when Shamar, my union rep, and 2 other people in the union stop me and tell me that I have to cover that job until the end of the shift because she's in danger. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. I was pissed about it, but I was like, if that's the case, I'll do it. And they personally walked her to her fucking car. Why not me? And then they said I was lying about that, to the point where I was having to call other people. I was like, don't you remember that night where Crazy was doing that one job, and they were like, oh no, she's got to leave 40 minutes early, and they personally walked her out, and I had to fucking take my coat off and my bag off and finish the night out? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, the union is sitting here right now saying that didn't happen. They just fucking lie, and then they make you look crazy, and then it's like, I'm not gonna come groveling back for my fucking job. I'm not going to come crawling back to a job that treated me like shit when I have it wrote down a year and a half ago exactly what you did to me. And like I said, I got 3 more folders. If you guys want me to keep going, I can. But this all came from the Vern situation. And like an adult, instead of just going to people outside of work or to everybody at work and going, this is what this psychopath is saying to me, and this is what this psychopath is doing, and allowing them to handle it, I tried to be an adult about it. And look what fucking happened to me. So thanks, UAW. Thanks. And that's what I mean here. When people are going, oh, she's jaded and mad at Ford. No, I love Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company didn't do shit to me. I know who did shit to me. And I know who ignored it. And I know who pretended it didn't happen. And you abuse these TPTs and their votes. And you go, look at me. I helped you once with the tardy. And then you get their fucking vote out of them. And then after somebody's there for 2 years, you don't give a shit about them. And we know who you really don't give a fuck about. We know who's really not giving a fuck about. Let's be real here. But, yeah, and if you work there, you know. But, yeah, it's an openly discussed thing. Those are rumors and things that we joke about, so I'm not going to say nothing, but we all knew. And if you work there, you know. So it is what it is. But it's like, you wonder why. That's why. You wonder why that lady came. It was because of me. And then they wouldn't allow me to talk to her. Why wouldn't you let me talk to her? If I'm so heinous and crazy, why not make me look heinous and crazy? Why are bosses coming up to me and saying, like, we were told you were such an issue and now you're one of our best workers? I don't know why they did that. Why were bosses doing that? Why were bosses coming up and going, I don't know why they won't fix your attendance down in labor? Why? Why was that happening? I don't know. Maybe because the union was openly... Who opens up? Even just... They found out, because he doesn't work there anymore, so I can say this. Somebody that I grew up with, like, I could hit their house with a football from here, worked in the labor department, and I didn't know it. And he didn't stay because he was like, it's god-awful. And he was like, the behavior is god-awful. He's like, it's horrible. He was like, it's terrible. He was saying how bad it was. They knew that I knew him. And they opened up the conversation with, oh, we know that you know so-and-so. And I was like, yeah. And at first I was like, are you threatening him? Like in my head, I was like, I think you're threatening him. I think you're saying like, we're gonna fuck him up we're gonna fuck him over if you don't cooperate with whatever we say. And then I realized, oh no, you're telling me some other shit. Then they said, we, and then looked at my union rep. So the labor woman said how another person in labor who I know, and my union rep were all out together over the weekend drinking. What? That's like going into court and having the other lawyer and your lawyer like dab each other up and be like, hey, what's up, man? Remember we hung out over the weekend? You'd be like, wait, that's a concern. And I'm like, I don't know if you were trying to intimidate me or him. And like I said, there's more of them than there are me. So they're going to say that I'm lying. That's why and I'm not going to lie about this, threw record on my phone and put it in my pocket the second I got called down again. And guess what I got on tape? Me saying, I'm afraid of this. I'm scared I'm going to lose my job over dumb shit. Here's what's going to happen. I'm afraid of my union. I'm afraid of the labor department. I do believe these things. And I have it all on tape. And I have them on tape saying how they'll fix it. And I have them on tape saying how I will not be reprimanded for the comment I made on Facebook. But yeah, I was terminated, but still got paper. Like I said, terminated on the 12th, but my paperwork is stamped the 13th as an employee. And then on the 17th, I finally got the FMLA paperwork, but then I couldn't turn in the medical paperwork because you had me terminated because you're fucking incompetent and because you're running that place into the fucking ground. And it makes me sad because I actually do care about Ford Motor Company. I actually do care about all the people who work there. I actually did care about the fucking product and building it. But now, no, throw them out the door, bring in TPTs and bring in bums that won't do jobs, and people can fist fight. People can do whatever they want. People can start brawls. People can do anything. You can scream. Oh, that's what they said. That's what Labor said. As long as he didn't say it to you, it's okay. I was like, so if I scream racial slurs, as long as it's not to the person, it's okay? And they just didn't say shit. Because I'm like, you're stupid out here. And you take advantage of people. And so does the UAW. And it's fucked up. And I don't give a shit. Keep calling me crazy. That's what happened. You're incompetent. You were covering up what you did. Fuck you. Fuck you. Like I said, I would gladly work at Ford again. If this was 10 years ago, this shit would have never flown. I would say in the last 5 years, from my personal opinion and from what I've witnessed going on in that plant, it has become a joke and has gone so downhill when it comes to the way it is managed and the way the labor department is ran, and the union is just, don't even call, our union is not a union. Let's just put it that way. Our union is not a union. I'm sure there are good people in it, but from my experience, I've only ever gotten hurt by them.